Next week, thousands of people hoping to end the decades-long communist regime in Cuba will march in Washington, D.C. The Cuban Freedom March is next Monday, July 26th, and the organizer of that event, Alian Collazo, is joining live now from Fox. Good morning, Alian. Now, although you've called Florida home since you were 8 years old, your roots are in Cuba, your family and some of your friends are still there. So I'd like to know specifically what prompted you to organize this event.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And what prompted me to have this event is the importance of the moment and what is happening right now in Cuba. It is a moment like no other before. And the people of Cuba are asking directly for freedom. They're asking for libertad. They are asking for down with the regime, abajo la dictadura. And my whole family was in Cuba, besides my parents and aunt and uncle that live here in the United States. And they're directly affected, by the abductions, the lack of food, the lack of everything that's happening in Cuba. But most importantly, the lack of freedoms that the Cuban regime has taken away from the Cuban people.
Alian, as I mentioned, the protest is taking place on July 26th. Is there anything significant about this particular day?
Yes, the significance is big because this is the anniversary of when the 26th of July movement started by Fidel Castro. They celebrate this in Cuba. The Cuban regime celebrates this as a day of celebration. But we know as Cubans that this is the day when the terror and the horror that our people are passing through right now really truly began. So we want to use that day to send a message to the administration that the steps that they took yesterday is a start, but we need internet for the Cuban people. We want to send a message also to the world, and most importantly to the Cuban regime that's oppressing our people and killing them, abducting them arbitrarily.
Alian, right now we are showing some video of people who are protesting and demonstrating on behalf of the Cuban people. I'd like to know what's happening to people in Cuba who are choosing to speak out.
Yeah, what's happening is pretty horrific. There have been trials, sham trials, kangaroo courts. There have been, and that's for the ones who have not been abducted and have totally disappeared. There's a list of confirmed around 600, almost 700 people, which we have turned into the UN, and nothing has truly been done about it. But there's deaths, and families are scared to report those deaths because they're scared there'll be reprisals against their younger siblings, other parts of their families. So what's happening in Cuba right now is that those who are protesting live in a state of perpetual terror. There is terror across Cuba. There is terror across the street. It is a police state. People cannot live in peace, in prosperity. And this is because of the dictatorial communist regime that they have chosen to silence the voice of the Cuban people.
I think many would describe these details as horrific, and we've seen many American lawmakers and officials speak out against the retaliation that we are seeing from the Cuban government against its people. Most recently, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis this week speaking out several times. This video courtesy of Hannity of Fox News Channel. And Wednesday, he sent a letter to the president writing, "Technology exists to provide internet access to Cuba remotely using the innovation of American enterprises." Alian, what message do you want to send not only to the Biden administration, but to Congress?
The message that we want to send is loud and clear. The Cuban people are not yelling abajo con el embargo. They're not yelling down with the embargo. They're not yelling we need vaccines. They're yelling libertad, which directly translates into freedom. They're yelling abajo con el comunismo, down with communism. They're yelling abajo con la dictadura, down with the dictatorship. And for there to be any movement in which the world can continue to see and continue to focus on the voice of the Cuban people, we need the Cuban people to have access to free and unrestricted internet. And that's the first easy step that can be done, and it can be done with American ingenuity. It can be done with the best technology companies that are right here in America.
You mentioned that your whole family is still in Cuba. When's the last time you've spoken to them?
Well, I haven't spoken to my grandparents since about 2 weeks. It's been very difficult to get a conversation in to people in Cuba that is unrestricted and uninterrupted, and in which you can bring up the things that are happening in Cuba. So it's been about 2 weeks since I don't have a conversation with my family over there.
2 weeks is a long time not to speak to your loved ones, and I know that internet access is restricted, but if there's any chance they could possibly see this interview, is there anything that you would like to say to them?
Yeah, what I would like to say to them, and I'll say it to them in Spanish, lo quiero, I love them, and Cuba va a ser libre. Cuba will be free.
Alian Collazo, thank you so much for joining us today on Live Now from Fox.